Hello.
Great to see you. I am so excited to get into this conversation we're about to have. But first, I want to orient the room before we hear from Arjillian in just a moment. So, hello, everyone. Welcome, welcome, welcome. My name is Dr. Kim of Align with Dr. Kim. We are coming to you tonight to talk about aligning to education. We're talking about gaps in the education system, gaps in the generational community, I should say, gaps in the community concerning education and the other way around as well. So we're going to talk about it on both ends here on tonight. So I am coming to you from a space of alignment in my terms. I am also a coach. I should come out and say that I am a coach, and I define alignment as positioning yourself for prosperity, greatness, and all in all abundance. So, with talking about education, I'm so excited because our Gillian will also be on a panel here at the Whole Women's Wellness Conference coming up. I'm gonna go ahead and tell you now to get your ticket. We've got our host and our founder of the conference, Andrea Purr. She is in the comments, and I know that link is going to be posted in there. I just want to go ahead and put that out there now, so you can go ahead and make the decision and say yes to that to go ahead and get the ticket. Cause tonight is definitely going to be a preview, and I'm excited about what we're going to talk about. Make sure you ask questions in there. If there's something you like, make sure you comment in there as well, because that gives us feedback and that helps us to pivot and bring in different concepts that are, exciting to you all as well, because we definitely want to contribute to your wholeness. So, with that being said, we have on tonight, we're going to do a one on one chat here. I'll just be asking you some questions, but could you please come into the room and just share a little information about yourself? Let us know, let the people know who you are.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much, Dr. Kim. So, I am Arjillian Gilmer. I'm the owner of Gilmer's Learning Solutions. We're an educational solutions business located here in Central Arkansas. We provide services that are affordable so that people who typically couldn't afford academic support and enrichment can do that because everybody deserves a chance to grow. And honestly, what I do is ministry. Um, it's a work of heart. It is doing the Lord's work to help and grow God's people. It's great to be spiritually sound, to have biblical knowledge, but we do live in this world, and a part of living in this world, it takes education, in order to increase our upward mobility to go from one station in life to the next. Education is necessary. And so that's what my business does. We aim to help people grow so that we can fulfill our purpose in God's in his master plan of growing his people. I am an educator. I've been in education for 9 years now. I recently graduated with my Master of Education. And of course, I'm a wife, wonderful husband with 4 children. Um, and that's pretty much, me. I work in my church, love God's people. I'm here to help in any way I can so that God's people can grow. That's it.
Awesome. I love how humble you are, Jillian, because your testimony is like way more levels than that. But y'all, we gonna stay on purpose, and this is definitely the time and the place to be on purpose, in purpose, and where she is. So I know that as being a wife, a mother, this new business you started, you just graduated, and congratulations, by the way. You got your master's in education, right?
Yes, thank you.
You're welcome. On the way to the doctorate, we already speaking that over her. Or whatever other certifications that the Lord has for her. But
There
we
you go.
whatever God has for you, we are embracing it right now, with all that you do. I wanted to ask you, what's your favorite self-care activity?
Oh, well, you know what? I have to do a better job of um, knowing myself so that I can indulge in self care. And indulge is more of a negative connotation, really, so that I can engage in self care because it is necessary. I guess I would say one thing that I know that I like to do is go to the nail shop. I love to get my nails done. I love a good pedicure, and it's even better when I'm alone. I have two daughters, so they want to tag along sometimes, especially the youngest one. But it's really self care when I get to do it by myself.
I understand it. Look at her setting the tone. She was like, I like my alone time. I need to be pampered. I am a pampered queen. I gotta have it done. So I love that how you're letting in services and letting other people do things to support you as well. Because like I said, you do so much for other people through education, through ministry, just all sorts of things that I understand. So I know you told us about what your business does, and I heard a lot of ministry. I heard a lot of enrichment, higher achievement. Is this just for teens and children, or like what group are you mainly working with?
So, absolutely not. It's not only for children. The bulk of our services, we do serve students between kindergarten and 12th grade, but we do serve professionals as well. I personally have worked with professionals getting together their family and engagement plans that they have for school, helping them with lesson planning, classroom management techniques, strategies. Not to toot my own horn, but God has really been faithful in allowing me to be able to master those areas in the classroom. And
Hmm.
so I'm an open book, and I don't mind sharing any strategy that I have that's worked for me. Of course, it's not going to be the same for everybody, but I share that with other educators. And we also provide professional services for professionals in other areas. For example, we have a client through St. Jude who's working on professional writing services. I have somebody on my team who can take care of that. We really try to make sure that we're able to accommodate our clients at any level where they are. And then, of course, if we're not best suited for it, then we'll pass them along to somebody who can.
Awesome. So I heard consulting, I heard being a resource on both sides of this. That is awesome. And even with those services, I know in creating the institution that you have, creating the organization that you have an overall vision for the people that you're serving. What words would you use to describe it?
The vision that I have for those people is really four words summed up. Actually, I'm wrong, five words. I don't do math. High academic achievement, upward mobility. For our students we serve, whether they're in grade school or college, we're looking for them to grow. And most of the time, we think about high academic achievement as a student is on honor roll, they're making A's and B's. But honestly, if in your capacity alone, with no help, no one building your capacity, you are normally an F or a D student, then if you start making C's and B's, then that is high academic achievement for that person. So growth is growth. One thing I used to tell my students all the time is that when we would do these reading level assessments periodically, I don't care if you grew by 1 point, if you grew by 5 points, we celebrate gains because when we acknowledge those small victories, that's what builds us for the bigger ones. And so for our students, we're definitely looking for growth. We want them to have achievement to the best of their ability. That's the vision there. And then for our professionals who we serve, we're looking for them to go from entry level position to being a supervisor of whatever department. You're going up the ladder in the organization you work for, or you're going from one job to another, because you have a better opportunity because you've advanced your skills and you've expanded your knowledge base and what you're able to do.
Wow. So I heard up.
Yeah,
Going
it's up.
up all the way around, up, that go higher.
Yeah.
Higher achievement. I appreciate the acknowledgement that you give to where a person is. I think that helps them even with the growth. And having that, I notice in the spirit that you have when you're operating, that of course this is the spirit of God that you're operating through to add enrichment to a person's life, and also to, just share techniques with them so people can feel like they're within a community. And with community, look, from what you've been able to see with just from your position and the work that you've been doing over, these years, are there any gaps that you've noticed in, the community's role in our kids' education at all?
Yes. So community is essential.
Hmm.
Um, Whichever way we spin it, no matter how we try to take out the community, or no matter how much it seems that the community is overstepping their bounds in education, because that can happen as well, we still need community. It's the people who live in the communities, the people who work in the communities, whose tax dollars go towards education. So we need them. It's one thing, and I'll use a church example. If, and I don't belong to a church like this, but if you belong to a church that requires an assessment for, pastor appreciation or a church anniversary, when the church secretary tells you that the assessment is X amount of dollars and you're expected to pay X amount of dollars, it's not always with a cheerful heart that you're able to give, because it feels like you're forced to give. But if the church secretary or committee comes and they say, well, this is what we need you to pay, but we really need your input on how we should go about implementing programs and initiatives for the church, then a person will be more willing to give their money freely. And so with the community, since they have to pay tax dollars anyhow, um, it would be better for education if we would set the stage, set the tone that, hey, the people who work in the schools, we are the professionals. This is what we've gone to school for. This is what we continue to be professionally developed about. So we're the experts here, but you're the expert of your child. So as a member of the community, we need your input for what works for you at home to get your child to cooperate. What works for you at home to get your child to be engaged in family game night, in spending time together. What works for you at home? We need the community, because without the community, then we really don't have a fair shot at gaining the child. And so right now there is a gap, because it's either you're for the teachers or you're not. And we don't see that middle ground, unfortunately. And it's not just causing a gap, there's this huge gulf between the educators professionally and the community, because either it's like, either it's all or nothing. You're with us or you're against us. And that's truthfully not the way that it should be.
Right, right. Um, Man, that was pretty deep. So with understanding like the community's role, even in the advancement of the educational system, them and y'all, let me go back and say this as well. When I say community, I mean the parents, I mean the older generation, like, granddaddy, all of them, grandparents, auntie, uncles, all the people that are involved in the home, like Arjillian said, all the people that are involved in the local community places, people that support them, the churches as well. So all of that is involved. So even with
Mm-hmm.
understanding that there, like you said, there's a gulf between a gulf between those points, it really can make it seems like it can bring up mistrust sometimes, and it can bring up on both sides, you know.
Yeah.
Like, from the educator, is what I'm doing enough? Am I teaching in vain? Am I educating and pouring out and just bleeding over people, just pouring my essence out in what I'm
Mm-hmm.
doing for nothing? And even on their side, it's like, well, hey, you know are we entrusting them with too much, or are we putting them in the hands of a system that's not really going to benefit them long term? Because I know some parents and some not advisors, but other people in the community look at, the fact that the classroom has changed. Like, just for this is just one thing, with visual learning, and the decision to go back to school, well, to actually be in the facility versus
Mm-hmm.
at home, or even just the ability for accessibility, if that makes any sense. Like, the fact that they can go to school online really opens up being accessible to more, in different places. So
Mm-hmm.
having those conversations about what is helping and what could possibly help people. And like I said, just that was just one thing with the virtual learning, because that opens up so much, with computers and being supportive of virtual learning, and even in long-term spaces, I think is helpful. But I'm just sensing like having a town hall or something. And Arjillian, I don't know where this comes from, but it's like both sides need to hear from one another, on what's being. Go ahead. Uh-huh.
Yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right. Virtual. Okay, so let's start with virtual learning. It's great as long as it's great. It's great until it's not. And it does require input from parents. I think when the pandemic first set in, we saw a lot of parents who were like willing to do whatever, however I need to assist my kids, because the teachers need our support. You need me to make sure that little Johnny is on that computer so y'all can do your lesson. Great. But then when we went into the year where virtual learning, okay, this is a thing. So, we know from the jump that some people are going to do this. There was less support from home. It was more so, okay, you were supposed to be on the computer, and okay, he got on the computer, but he didn't engage in class. He didn't do any work. And so now you wonder why he's failing. And all you can say is, well, he was on there, but there is not the actual work coming from some parents to ensure that we as teachers are able to do our jobs with a child who is not physically in our presence. That's the thing. And so while virtual learning does make learning more accessible, even for those who don't have internet access, because lots of schools, give out mobile hotspots
Mm-hmm.
so that students can still engage in the learning process, but there is still a requirement on families to ensure that the child is learning, and teachers have a responsibility as well to not just post busy work or do a check-in and say that we met and you didn't actually teach anything. So both sides still have a responsibility. And the horrible thing is that when one side misuses or abuses that privilege, then mistrust happens and it's hard to repair it. It almost seems irreparable, but it can be, like you said, coming together in something such as a town hall. A few years back, right before the pandemic, I was a part of the Clinton Foundation's Future Leader Series. And what we did there was educators of middle and high school students came together with selected middle and high school students, and we discussed the issues that impact students and teachers. And these middle and high school students had to listen to each other. They had to listen to the teachers. Teachers had to listen to them so that we could understand each other's perspective and know where each other were coming from. And that opened up our eyes so much to, okay, what we think of as problems as an adult, things should be this way, black and white, no gray, no in between. Seeing it from a student's perspective, it gave us a whole new idea of how we could approach education. And the takeaway from that, if it hadn't been for COVID, was to have a town hall with our area's leaders, our superintendents and principals, our elected officials, because we need both sides to come together. We have students here who can tell from a student perspective. We have teachers who are also parents who can tell from a parent and teacher perspective. And so coming together is absolutely essential. You know, we can't reason with each other if we don't come together. So you're right, it's necessary.
Yeah, I think we already, I was about to ask the question about how can we bridge the gap, and I think we're already there with coming, everybody being honest and having the opportunity to share their stories and being heard, all parties. Because, like the vision that you have with people having upward mobility and people being able to climb up, it's like we won't even begin to understand how to move if we don't know what level we're on. If we
Mm-hmm.
can't understand, where we are, and as a community, instead of seeing things as differences, look at the fact that, these are different perspectives, but yet these are all kind of like different pieces of the puzzle that's
Yes.
a whole answer. And I think it takes someone such as yourself with a perspective like that to see how, all parts can come together in this so we can all move forward. And that's a biblical principle as well. How can two agree? Well, how can two walk?
Walk together. Yeah, unless they're in agreement. Yeah.
So, I am just, I really sense that, people like you really have a heart, for not just the kids, but also seeing the educators flourish in what they're doing. Because like you said, those people who they may not have the support in how to set up lesson plans and different things like you said, and being able to come together and know that, hey, there are resources available, there are people out there that I can go to help me, especially if they feel that they're not getting support from the administrators, which I know that's a whole other.
That's a whole other.
Yeah, I know that's a whole other conversation about where people feel like they're not being supported. But talk a little bit more about how parents and how educators can come together to bridge the gap here.
So parents and educators, I did a professional development for the yearly federal parent and family engagement piece that goes, all Arkansas educators this year had to do parent and family engagement. And I presented that for Arkansas Education Association. And one thing that I really honed in on in that training was how, even though it seems inconvenient and it seems that we bear most of the burden, as educators, we do have to go out of our way to connect with parents, to connect with families, whether it is sending a newsletter weekly to let them know what's going on in your classroom, if it's asking them to come speak because whatever unit you're covering right now has something to do with that parent's career. You know, having those parents come, having people from different cultures and ethnicities come and share, especially, Hispanic Heritage Month or Native American Heritage. You don't wait and just do something for one day. Let those people come in so that your students' families will see that these are people just like we are, and we can better understand each other, we can get on one accord when we know each other. And then as a parent, because I'm a parent first, we have to do our due diligence in reading the email that the teacher sent,
Mm-hmm.
in going to the parent teacher conference, in showing up to open house or the tailgate. We have to do our due diligence in talking to our children, asking about, how their day was at school, and not just, oh, it was good, and leave it at that, but ask deeper questions to see what's really going on at school. Okay, you had math today, so what did y'all do in math today? Oh, Miss James wasn't there. Oh, do you know why she was out? If the student knows why she's out, then that's a great connector there, that you could just shoot Miss James a message and say, hey, I heard you were out today, hope everything is well. You don't even have to ask why or be in Miss James's business, but the fact that she as a teacher knows that you as a parent actually care about her as a person, then that is going to make her feel more connected to you. We both have to take on our ownership in education as parents and teachers. We have to, and communication is key.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Wow. That is, yeah. That was so beautiful. I'm like, God, I wish like 500 more people could have heard that. But you know
I
what?
hope I answered well.
Yes, you did. Yes, yes, you did. Now, there are so many different gaps. And like you said, there are even gulfs in this, but you went beyond the communication and gave us some practical things and like behind the mindset of how we need to move on both ends with that. And replay viewers, shout out to you. Thank you for sharing this video with a friend. Thank you for sharing this. If you're a parent, if you're somebody that's active in parent teacher conferences, you may need to say, hey, I think you should check this out. But I just heard you talk about how a parent has more than just, well, investing in their child and investing in their child's future looks more than just, I'm sending you to school.
Yes.
In that, to be invested in them is to be invested in a community that is teaching them and being a support for them as well. And then on the flip side, you talked about how the educators and the teachers, it's like they also can go a step further and extend a hand of invitation into and I get it. I can sense some of you already. I'm a teacher and I do that, and these people don't ever stop. They don't ever listen, and blah blah blah.
Yeah.
I think our Jillian is telling you, invite one more. Do one more. If you want to connect with the community in a different way, hey, I'm a consultant. I can come in and talk with you about
Yeah.
things. We have resources that can, possibly help you with that as well. Go ahead. I know you got something to say.
Well, no, you're right. Like, and that's exactly what I'm saying. You said it perfectly. Do one more. You never know when that one is going to make the difference. You know, when we're working out, doing squats is difficult. We might start out doing 10, and then the next day we do it. Okay, we make it up to 12. But if our goal is 30, if we haven't been doing them before we get to 30, we're going to get tired. We're going to want to give up. But once we make it to 30, then it's kind of like, okay, I can do one more. And the crazy thing is, the way that our muscles work, when we do one more, it conditions them to be able to handle more. So even though it is tiring, I have been the teacher who has sent communication after communication after communication, and only a few parents respond or show up. But when I do one more, and that one family is grateful that I asked about them, that their kid was out for 2 days, and I'm not emailing you about missed work and makeup assignments that I'm going to have to grade because your child wasn't here, but I want to make sure everything's okay. And they're grateful for that. that gives me the stamina that I need to be able to do one more. And so, yes, do one more. Do one more. It's necessary because no matter the hard exterior that some parents can have and some teachers can have, deep down, we really want the same thing. We really want our students to be successful. We really want our children to be successful. We really want to be heard and understood. And that can't happen if we never break underneath the surface. It can't happen. And that only happens through communication.
Oh my goodness. It only happens through communication. I heard Pastor Darius Daniels, I listen to him sometimes, and I heard him say, God never makes anything outside of the ability to succeed. It's like whatever thing was, like if you're in that role, you want to be successful. And I'm kind of paraphrasing it, but the thing that was made is made to be a success. That success is desired. And like you said, I think that's like the core. One thing that can unite everybody is that, hey, this is the same goal that we all working towards. And Arjillian, I also heard an encouragement through you to the parents as well with this. Cause I can sense parents, oh, them people ain't gonna do nothing, they don't care, and we done did this and blah 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 blah. I sense that.
Mm-hmm.
I can just sense it. And I know you've probably seen it on so many different levels, and then too, oh, I'm busy, I got too much stuff going on. Parents can be or people in the community, because you're still somebody that affects a child's upbringing and everything.
Mm-hmm.
You can still be a change agent. It doesn't have to always be the same story. You can break the cycle of that. Instead of saying it's the same, do something different. Instead of
Mm-hmm.
responding like you know however you responded the last time, do something different. Do something different. Be a change agent. If you truly want to see them succeed, just know that everybody has a hand in the succeed. If I want to hold something in my hand, I got 5 fingers that's gonna help me hold. If I didn't have no fingers, I
Yes.
couldn't hold anything. So you have to put your input in along with them in order for it to be successful. It could be another level of success. There,
Yeah.
and I think that's what um your mission and your vision says, is that, hey, there's another level of success that we can get to. Let's go up.
Yeah.
Let's
Yeah,
go
you're right.
up. So yeah, that though, and those are just some of the gaps. Y'all, I know you all are excited if you watching a replay on this. Those of you who are passionate about your child's education, you passionate, or either if you're an educator and you went into the field to really just teach the masses. Because I'm a doctor, but I wouldn't be where I am today without a teacher. Somebody had to teach me some things, and they had to understand it. Everybody has a teacher, has a mentor somewhere along their path. And I think there's a special calling in educators and teachers for that. And I hope that this messaging, that the fact that you have these resources gets out to them. So I'm just gonna put that expectation on this broadcast right now with that. But going forward, I know you're going to be speaking at the conference on the whole women's wellness panel. And this panel is about worship, it's about wealth, it's about wellness, it's about worthiness. What's something that you definitely want, to share and to bring home as you're chatting about the gaps in education and what we need to do about that?
You know, I'm going to go with worthiness because that's been a thing for me lately, and the Lord has really gone out of His way to share with me through His people that I'm worthy of certain things that He has called me to do that I just didn't feel worthy to do. And although this is about education, it goes because as I tell my husband, anybody who talks to me, everything is spiritual. And although we can't talk about, our religious beliefs or our faith in the public school system here right now, I'm saying everything is spiritual. And so if we want to see our children succeed, if we want to succeed as educators, if we want to reach a new level of success, it is important that we know and understand without a doubt that we're worthy. And we're so worthy that God sent his son to live this life, to be crucified, to be resurrected, so that we can have salvation, so that we can be intimate with him, we can be close to him, so that mankind can be reconciled to him. If that doesn't say that you're worthy, then I don't know what does. And it's not just for the spiritual. We're in the world, not of the world. We are fleshly people, but we are spirit. We're made of flesh, but we are spirit. And so the worthiness isn't only for the spiritual things. The worthiness is for your education. Your mom didn't finish high school, it doesn't matter. You don't have to repeat that cycle. You can surpass that. You as an educator, you're in a toxic culture where, leadership doesn't value educators, they don't value the teachers, they don't support the teachers. That doesn't matter. You're still worthy. So to me, worthiness. I really want to bring out more of how an individual's perception of their worth has a tremendous amount to do with how successful you are at being a success yourself and bridging the gap in the community where you serve.
Hmm. Yeah, that is powerful. If you don't feel like itching to just get to these comments so you can hear the rest of this, because that was just a portion of it. There is so much fullness in you, Arjillian. I thank you so much for sharing this. You have just been a reminder, like you said, everything is spiritual. You have been just a reminder for people out there saying, "Oh, they took God out the schools." No, they didn't take. They Nobody can take something that they didn't give, because God is in the people.
Yes.
God is in the people in the education system, and they need your support as well. And God is showing up in some mighty ways. You got spirit filled, believing people out here that are educating. I think they talk
Mm-hmm.
too much about the toxicity in the environments, and oh, this person ain't right, and we can't do it by ourselves. And that's true, you can't do it by yourself. But my prayer is that people who feel isolated, like they're the only ones, or that it isn't worth it, and they know they have a calling on their life, I'm praying that God will open their eyes for them to see that there are more on this side than all of that other stuff. That
Mm-hmm.
greater is he that is within you than he that is within the world. God is not absent from the schools. He is not absent out of the parents and the communities. He is definitely present. And I am just grateful that there are resources and organizations and consultant programs out here, resources that you have to help people go up on both sides, whether they're community, whether they're the parent, the child, the educator, all of those type of things. So I think you are one of those gulf crossers, or bridge gappers. Well, not gappers, but you know what I'm saying. Like
Yeah.
you're
To
bridge.
fill the gap. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, yeah, you're feeling, that's the way that you're feeling the gap. So I know we spent here some time tonight. Is there any like final remarks that you have, or something that you want to say, or how, or way you want to invite the people to get to know you more, to look you up? Give us some final words and ways we can contact. in case.
Yeah, so of course, first of all, I want you, if you're watching now live or on the replay, you need to go and get your ticket to the Whole Women's Wellness Conference. We often think about church conferences as, a lot of preaching, a lot of singing, but this kind of conference is really a whole women's wellness conference. We're talking about finances, we're talking about education, we're talking about relationships, whether it's eros or platonic. We are talking about our lives. All that encompasses us as women is what we're talking about. And we even hear from some great men as well. We did this conference last year and it was a treat. When I say it was a treat, I mean, we grew from the conference. We walked away with gems that we could continue to use months down the road. And it was extremely helpful. The great thing about this conference is they're asking for a donation, guys. Nobody is hitting you with an assessment. They're asking you for a donation, which means that they want to make it accessible to you. I don't know what the threshold is for the amount that you put in, whether or not you get your ticket, but knowing the people who are hosting the conference, I'm pretty sure if you give from your heart, whatever your heart is able to give, I know it'll be accepted. So you don't want to wait until the last minute and then there's no space, for the conference to hold you. You want to be in this conference, not because I'm going to be there, but because the Spirit of God's going to be there, because you're going to learn, you're going to grow, you'll get practical tips for living your life now in a way that will enable you to be who God has called you to be, to fulfill the purpose that He has for you now, and ultimately lead to your destiny. As far as contacting me, if you want more information, if you want to know what I have to offer, what free resources I can give you, you can visit gilmerslearningsolutions.com, just like my last name, Gilmer, gilmerslearningsolutions.com, or you can email me at studentsuccess@gilmerslearningsolutions.com. And I'm willing, always willing to share the knowledge that I have. If you can afford services, then I'm willing to work with you. If you can't afford services, got some programs where I'm still willing to work with you. And if I'm not the best fit for you, I'll send you to somebody who I know can help. That's all I got, Dr. Kim.
And that's all we need. What you got is what we need. Thank you all so much for joining us on tonight. I know Andrea is in the comments in there. I didn't know if she wanted to come back on and say anything, but we are definitely about to close out here. So that way, this wonderful educator and mother, and she is a whole human being. She has things she has to attend to. We thank you for your time. Thank you so much for sharing on tonight. And we look forward to seeing you all at the conference. Y'all have
Yes,
a great
ma'am.
night.
Bye.